Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. Before we get to the topics, real quickly, a little summary of how you could listen, follow, download, and keep informed. One, we are with you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4, the only live 5-day-a-week real estate show in the entire Bay Area. Proud of it. We continue to work really hard to have good guests, content information to pass on to you, the consumer, hopefully to better educate and inform you in the life of real estate, in all aspects of real estate. We'll continue to do that. You could go to kdow.biz to listen to us online. So that's right. If you have an internet connection and you're anywhere in the world during this specific time, which is 3 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time, you could go onto the website, kdow.biz, click on the button that says Listen Live. You'll be able to listen to the entire show live online. And, of course, the radio at 1220 a.m., KDOW 1220 a.m. is the dial. And we're streaming live on Facebook, as we do every day if I'm doing the live show. So thank you for those Facebook listeners, followers, and those that communicate with us. We appreciate that very much. Lastly, be sure to download the podcast. So whether you're listening to the show on the radio, watching it on Facebook, listening to it online, the most important thing I could ask you to do is download the podcast. That way you get the podcasts automatically. They come to your, it's an app. They automatically come to your mobile device or wherever you are, and you can listen to them at your convenience. It's really the best way to do it when you aren't on a regular schedule and most people are busy. You could go to iTunes and just type in Real Estate Radio Live, or you could go to our website, reradiolive.com, and get the podcast that way. During the live portion of the show, if you'd like to call in, if you have any questions for me or my guest, it's 1-800-516-1220. If you'd like to text questions, or if you're listening to this via podcast, the best way to reach me, 408-838-9060. All right, the first two segments of the show, I'm going to be talking about real estate and mortgage planning. That's right, real estate and mortgage planning for 2018, and I will go into detail on why that's so important for those that have mortgages and properties, especially multiple properties. And then the second part of the show, in segments 3 and 4, we're going to have a guest call in, is Mr. Jeffrey Small, who is the president of Arbor Financial, and he's just coming out with a new book called Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. So he's a financial planning expert, has an incredible background in this, and so we're looking forward to talking to Jeffrey a little bit about his expertise, his knowledge, and his upcoming book. Most of you know the reason I have guests on from time to time, you'll hear people that are guests on the show that are financial planners, CPAs, real estate attorneys, and a lot of different aspects. And the reason why is because real estate is all-encompassing. When you're trying to plan for real estate, it has to do with your finances. It just does. It has to do with managing your money. That's why it's important to get insight and education from financial planners. When you're managing real estate, when you're buying and selling real estate, there's a lot to do with tax implications. That's why we will have CPAs on the show from time to time to give you advice on what to do with real estate and any upcoming changes in the tax laws that could affect you. So we'll continue to do that. So stay with us. Again, segments 1 and 2, I'm going to talk about mortgage, real estate and mortgage planning for 2018. And then on segments 3 and 4, we're going to invite in our guest. He's going to call Jeffrey Small. He's the president of Arbor Financial and is just getting ready to release a book called Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. All right. So let me talk a little bit about the importance of real estate and mortgage planning. Some people would say, why do I need to do that? It sounds ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. Well, first of all, I'm a big planner. I'm a big advocate and proponent of planning in general. And if you talk to any financial planner, I'm sure Peter, when he comes on, he'll talk about how importance of planning. Too many people don't take just a little bit of time each year to plan with their mortgage and their real estate. And some people might say, well, what, Joe, that doesn't make sense. I have a mortgage and it's fixed for 30 years. Why would I plan my mortgage? Well, if you have one property and it is fixed for 30 years and you're all set, then that's true. That's fine. But remember, there's a lot of people that circumstances are changing in their lives. So there's a lot of people right now as we sit here in December that might be selling next year or might need to take cash out for a college education or a remodel or an emergency or someone lost their job or you're buying investment property. So, mortgage planning is a really important feature. Yes, this is not necessarily for the person with one mortgage that nothing's going to change next year. That's true. But if you do have one mortgage and you do see some changes coming next year, you should really plan those out and think about and put some strategy in place of how that's going to help you best deploy and get the best results from the strategies that are going to work in 2018. There's a lot of people that have multiple properties, and they're looking into maybe 1031 exchange, and they're looking to do a lot of different transactions in 2018. I know a lot of people who start their mortgage planning late in the year and prepare for the next year, and so that's what I want to talk a little bit about, the importance of that. So if you're out there listening to this on the radio or on the podcast, whether you have one mortgage or 10 or 15 or 20 mortgages, just sit down and figure out a little bit about, do some forecasting. Do you foresee anything coming up next year? Again, do you see any need to refinance? Do you see any need to leverage money from any of your properties or leverage equity from any of your properties? Do you anticipate any sales, any transactions, any 1031 exchange? Any of that. It's really, really important. Here's the single biggest thing I really want to make sure the message I get across today on this planning process. I learned this years ago, and I do it every year if I'm expecting. If you are self-employed, and there's a lot of people out there that are, if you are self-employed, corporation, small business owner, in other words, if you earn your income in any other way than W-2, we all know that we make the best use of taxes on our tax returns, right? It's legal. You make the best use of tax deductions. That's the good part. The challenging part is when you go to qualify for a loan, a lot of people forget that some of those tax benefits will result in them showing less net gross income that they might make and they go to qualify for a loan. And I'm in this business, so I see this all the time. And I'll give you an example. For me, myself, I just spent some time with my CPA last month because I am going to be doing some remodeling and adding on to my property, one of my properties. And so I have been taking advantage of some of the tax benefits over the last couple of years. So looking at that and forecasting that, I'm going to have a need once I put this money into the remodel. What I'll probably do is then refinance at the higher value, because once I add on and put the additional square footage onto my property, it'll be a lot more valuable, and then I'll be able to refinance and recover that money that I paid cash for to do the add-ons and the remodel, which is great. But I have to be prepared for that. So I just had a meeting with my CPA last month. We talked about what do I need for my adjusted gross income. In 2017 and even 2018, that's still a little bit early now, but as we close out 2017, I am going to need to make sure my adjusted gross income is higher, which means I'm going to have to take less deductions because I'm going to need to show a higher adjustable gross income in order to qualify for a potentially higher loan. Does that make sense? For people that are self-employed out there, you know what I mean. And this is important. This is part of planning. This is part of mortgage planning. If you foresee any changes where you're going to need to make more money on paper, if you're going to get a financing, you're going to go buy a home, you're going to go do something like that, do some mortgage planning. Do some mortgage planning. Again, I know it sounds funny to some people. It sounds like, are you kidding me? Here, I'll tell you what my planning is. My plan is I get a 30-year fixed, and I'm not touching it. Some of you are probably saying, that's my plan, Joe. I'm not touching that 30-year fixed at 3.5%. I understand that. I am simply saying life happens. And when life happens, you don't know what's coming at you. Sometimes you do. Some people will plan right now because they know in 2018 they're going to need money for a remodel, an add-on, some student debt. Maybe someone's getting married. Maybe someone loses a job and you need to be careful about what kind of program you have. Or maybe you're going to sell your house in a couple of years and you don't need that 30-year fix anymore. Or maybe you have an interest-only loan because you were self-employed for a while. And now you're going to be employed again, and you want to get rid of the interest-only loan because you don't want that cash flow arm anymore. You want to pay principal on your loan. There's a lot of these reasons. All right, we're going to take the first break. When I come back, I'm going to continue talking about real estate and mortgage planning, the importance of it. When we come back on the second segment, I'm going to talk more about real estate planning and how that is all encompassing with your mortgage as well. If you have any questions, 1-800-516-1220, 1-800-516-1220. If you have any questions, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I'll be back with you in just a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. The topic today for the first two segments is real estate and mortgage planning, and how important it is if you know you're going to have some changes in your real estate or mortgages over the next year or so. And then in segments 3 and 4, which are coming up in the next 10 minutes or so, I will invite in my guest who's going to be calling in, Mr. Jeffrey Small. He's the president of Arbor Financial. He's got a new book coming out called Turning a Financial Planning Right Side Up. We're going to continue to educate you a little bit on financial planning. He's going to give you some insight and some different ideas in his area of expertise. So back to the real estate and mortgage planning. As I was mentioning in the first segment, how important it is if you anticipate any changes in 2018, make sure you plan for that mortgage. Make sure you plan for the income. One of the biggest things I can't stress enough, and I've done it myself, if you anticipate some purchases next year with real estate, or maybe you're doing something where you're going to need to show more income, and you're self-employed, make sure you get with your CPA and you figure out what your adjusted gross income, how you want that to look for next year if you need to show more income. I'm doing it right now so that I could show more income for 2018. For 2017 tax returns for year 2018. And it's important if you're planning. and you need that extra income. A lot of people that are self-employed and you get your income elsewhere other than being a W-2 income earner, a lot of people forget about this, and then you go to get some financing or a purchase, or all of a sudden a great opportunity comes up and you go, oh, God, man, I knew this was going to happen, or I didn't realize it was going to happen, and you don't show enough income because of all the write-offs you take. It's great to take write-offs. It's a great benefit. But when you go to get financing, you need to make sure that you are squared away with what your gross income shows. So be sure that. It's very important. Now, on the real estate side, how do you plan for real estate? A lot of people say, what do you mean? What do you mean real estate planning? Well, again, it's similar to mortgage planning. Is there anything going on with your property, your real estate, whether you have 1, 5, 10, 15, 100 properties? Is there anything that you anticipate that's going to change next year? Specifically, are you going to buy or sell a property? Those are probably the two biggest things. If there's nothing going to change, there's no reason to do anything. But let's say you're sitting here in December of 2017 and you're thinking, you know what? I think I might sell. I think it's time. I think I'm going to sell. I'm going to buy up, or I'm going to move out of town, or whatever. And you're starting to have that conversation. You're thinking, you know what? I just might sell next year. I might sell, and great. So what do you need to know about that? What do you need to know? Well, when do you think you're going to put your house on the market? Is your house going to be ready to go on the market? Is there any landscaping you need to do? Is there any painting you need to do? Is there any things that you need to do to prepare your house for the market? Well, if you talk to a qualified real estate agent, someone that knows really what they're doing, they'll educate you on this stuff, for sure. But these are the types of things you really have to think about. If you're going to be selling your house next year, what condition do you want your house in when you sell it? That's number one. Number two, what else do you think you should do? I'm going to throw this question. This is a question and answer with no one on the line. I'm talking to myself. What else did you think you should do? I'll tell you what else you should do. If you think you're going to be selling next year and then buying, then you should meet with someone like me or talk to someone like me, unless you already have someone you have a relationship with as residential lending, and find out what you're pre-approved for, what you're qualified for. Do that planning now. Don't be surprised by something because you didn't do your due diligence. Let's say you plan to sell your home and it's worth $1 million, and let's say you're going to net $500,000 after commissions and fees, and you're going to go buy another house for $1.3 million or $1.5 million. You're thinking, what loan do you need? What are the interest rates are going to look like? What if the interest rates go up? You know, let's do some scenarios. Let's do some scenarios based on today's rates, and let's do some scenarios based on the rates that we think might be next year. Most of us think rates are going to go up some next year. Well, that's what they've been saying the last year or so, and it hasn't really happened. So we'll see. But most people will tell you in the economic markets that they see rates going up next year. As much as 1%, which is quite a bit. That could be, you could have interest rates in the high 4s or maybe 5% for 30-year money next year. I don't know. I don't think it'll be in the 5%. Do I think it'll be in the mid to high 4s? Yeah, I do. I do. If you were to ask me right now, December 2017, Joe, where do you think rates will be this time next year or Q4 of next year, or roughly 8 to 12 months from now, I would bet that rates are going to be about 0.5% higher than they are now, at least. As we sit here today, if 30-year money is at 4%, maybe a little bit more, 4 1/8, 4 1/4, depending if it's jumbo conforming, let's just say it's 4 1/4 across the board. I'm not saying it is, but just hypothetically, I think we could see that same interest rate at 4 3/4 this time next year. I don't know if we'll creep into the 5% range. No one really knows. I don't see any reason why we would, but you never know. So that's one way to plan. That's another reason why you should plan if you're getting ready to sell and you think you're going to buy again. The other one is planning for taxes. If you sell your property and you buy up or you use that equity, then it's not an issue. But what if you're getting ready to sell your property, right? What if you're getting ready to sell your property? And some people are, I'll tell you what happens. Some people are close to retirement, or they sell their property for $1 million here, and they walk away with, let's just call it $700,000-800,000 in equity or money. If you have net $700,000 or $800,000 out, you move to Colorado and buy yourself a place for $400,000. What happens to that other amount of money? What happens to that other $300,000 to $400,000? Do you get taxed on it? Can you use it for something else? Can you reinvest it? Are there tax implications on it? These are the kinds of things that I encourage you to really think about if you're planning on doing some adjustments or changes in your real estate or mortgage next year. Whether you have one property or 150 properties. I know a lot of people that do this every year. And planning is super, super important. Now, we could plan till our heart's content, right? We could be the best planners in the world, and something unexpected could happen, and there's nothing we could do, and we adjust to it, and we try to do the best we can. I'm not simply saying that, things happen or it won't happen. But you are better off planning, and plan as much as you can for as good as you can for what you expect that potentially could happen. Anything that happens over and above that, then you adjust to it. There's not much you could do, because a lot of things we have zero control over. Most anything in life is zero. And if things are going to happen, they're going to happen. They're beyond our control. I'm simply saying make sure that you do the best you can in planning for mortgage and real estate. So before I wrap up this segment, we switch gears a little bit into our guest calling in a few minutes. Take a look, just quick review again. Take a look at your mortgages. Take a look at your real estate. If there's anything I could help you with or walk through or help you with, feel free to give me a call. You can always reach me, 408-838-9060. Most of you know how to reach me. You could just go to the website, reradiolive.com. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to introduce our guest Mr. Jeffrey Small. He's the president of Arbor Financial and author of a new book that's coming out, Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Stick with us. Facebook crowd, stick with us. Be back with you in just a couple of minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe at reradiolive.com, or visit my website at reradiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live with you Monday through Friday from 3 to 4, again, Pacific Daylight Time. You can listen to us on the radio at KDOW 1220 AM, or also the best thing to do is download the podcast. That way you can listen to the show at your convenience. Go to iTunes and enter Real Estate Radio Live, or you can always go to our website and get the podcast as well. Most of you know that for almost 8 years now, if you've been following the show, the focus, my main objective when I started the show is really to help educate and inform the consumer in and around real estate. In and around real estate involves a lot of things. When you buy real estate, when you sell real estate, when you plan for real estate, involves financial planning, financial responsibility, how to invest, how to save, what if you want to buy what if you want to buy property. Mortgages, is a lot to this, so a lot of you know on a regular basis I bring in financial experts in financial planning, CPA, tax advice, legal advice, all that. So let me invite my guest in today. It's Mr. Jeffrey Small. He's the president of Arbor Financial, and author of a new book that's about ready to come out. We're going to chat a little bit too, and it's Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. Good to have you on. You want to go by Jeff or Jeffrey? What's the best way?
Well, Joe, I appreciate being here. It doesn't really matter. I don't, whatever your preference is.
Okay. Well, welcome in. Good to have you here, Jeff. And I'm excited to hear more about the book and the details of it. But before we get started, why don't you give our listening audience a little bit about your background and, what you're up to today, and then what led you to putting together the book.
Well, I'm a Fox News and Fox Business News contributor, and I make about 50 national media appearances a year between TV and radio, so I appreciate you taking time for me today. But the book was really a culmination of what I would consider what consumers need to have for financial professionals to correctly advocate in the right way for them so they benefit. And so it's really a 33-year brain dump of my career into this book about insight on how to master the inside game of beating Wall Street and the media.
Okay. Very good. Well, I'm sure most people are going to be excited to hear more about that. Oh, good.
Well,
so tell us.
There is some irony, though. There is a metaphoric connection to some of the things that you talk about when it comes to investing in real estate versus investing in investments.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've done a lot of real estate modeling in the past, and this is a little bit different than what we were going to discuss. But the reality is, we show folks how to get a 5.3% or better net cash flow rate with intangible assets. Whereas if you're buying real estate, which is tangible, if you're renting out property, you want to have a net cash flow rate of greater than probably 5.5%, or 6%. Ideally, if you're collecting and harvesting the income from that asset.
Got it. Hey, one of the things, Jeffrey, that I always like to ask the financial planners, and you're certainly an expert here. You've seen it all, done it all. You've seen markets up and down, crazy markets, some that. Tell us a little bit of what should a person, whether they're looking today or they're not happy, what exactly, and I know all styles, don't fit all, everybody's got different profiles and styles, but what would you tell the person that's trying to seek out a financial planner, some financial advice, and how they would best find someone that support their needs to manage their money?
Boy, I'll tell you what, I've asked that question a lot, Joe, and I think it really boils down to a two-part answer. If you have less than $1.5 million in savings, you need to focus on not having any risk at this time. No risk.
All right.
The market's at an all-time peak. So if your advisor is telling you it's okay to have risk and you have less than $1.5 million in savings, whether it's in 401ks, IRAs, or a combination of non-IRA assets, you should not have risk. You need to find another advisor. If you have $2.5 to $3 million or more of intangible cash assets between the rest of your investments, you might be able to take a punch in the nose, and you can have maybe a third of your assets in a market risk at this point in time, but no more, no less. And so those are the folks that we really have to try and protect, are the ones that are still still accumulating their wealth.
Right. Well said. What do we learn from history? And you just mentioned the market at an all-time high. I mean, there's an element of a lot of us that are excited, but there's also an element that's a little nerve-wracking because you're just wondering, when's the next shoe going to drop? What's going to happen? Before it was well documented with the dot-com, the dot bomb, and then the real estate and the mortgage meltdown. Do you see anything outside of, that we may not be looking at or we may not see coming? Or any thoughts that you could give our audience, what could cause some corrections to the market other than just being really overdone?
Well, it's not too much different than the real estate market, Joe. I mean, buyers cause the real estate market to exceed its prices when there's not enough supply, right? It's the law of supply and demand.
Yep.
It's the same with the stock market. The greatest risk to the stock market today is investor sentiment. It's not any particular company. We haven't had an economic boom, so to speak, so we're not going to have an economic bust. But at some point, the insiders on Wall Street will start to lock in profits. So when that happens, generally the rest of us in consumer land on Main Street end up getting hurt. And so what you want to do is get out of the market before the market begins to correct while everybody's making money. And that's about that time. Right about now, we are at a tipping point. We're at a 1999, 1998 moment in market values.
any difference in or is it just the numbers, the history tells us? I know there's no exact science, so to speak, but is there anything different, or not really? It's just if you look at the numbers unemotionally, this is what your advice is.
Well, my book explains all of this, and not to tease your audience,
okay.
But the reality is that if you look at the public and private amount of debt that we had pre-08, was around 52 trillion globally. Today it's over 100 trillion. So they reinflated the debt bubble by double to reinflate asset prices in the stock markets and in real estate. And so now that those prices are booming back up, what's going to be the catalyst for a correction? Well, could it be the Fed raising rates too aggressively? Could it be a Nixonian event where they finally get something tangible on Trump and they come after him? Because they're not just looking for collusion now. They're looking for all kinds of stuff. And if they wanted to put you and me in jail, they could find something. There's enough rules and laws on the books to do that. So is it going to be the economy slowing down? Because we've got consumer sentiment at its highest point. So it'll probably be a combination of things. Earnings start to drop. The Federal Reserve the rates have risen too much. Their goal is to bring up the discount rate from 1.25% to 2.75 over the next 24 months. In addition to that, they're selling off $10 billion a month of the assets they purchased, between U.S. Treasuries that they bought and mortgage-backed securities. That was called quantitative easing, and I talk about that in my book extensively. We bought $4.5 trillion. So now they're selling that back to the open market. And in 6 months, they're going to be selling $50 billion a month of what they purchased. So we don't know how that's going to affect things. And so the Fed is reversing course. And so will the economy continue to expand? Remains to be seen. But we have a pro-growth president that seems to have, by some stretch of the imagination, has excited consumer sentiment up to 2004 levels. And so as long as there's money in motion again, who knows if that's going to offset it, but there's, nobody really knows what the catalyst is going to be, Joe. We don't have a crystal ball.
Right. Well said. We have just a couple minutes left in this segment and then one more. So tell us a little bit about the book in general. Give us kind of a summary, what people could expect, and we'll also give us kind of a peek into what we could expect and why this should pique people's interest.
Well, they'll gain stock market insight that they don't hear about on TV and in the media. And really what they'll discover is we've heard the term Goldilocks zone for the economy. We identify what the Goldilocks zone is for the average investor, regardless of portfolio size. There is a Goldilocks zone out there over the next 10 to 15 years, and you really have to figure out through the book we show you how to net a yield or interest rate, dividend, whatever you want to call it, of greater than 5%, and what are the safest investments to invest in that will do that are going to uncorrelate you to the stock market when the drop happens, meaning you're not going to pace the market down. If the market drops, you're going to be disconnected in non-volatile holdings.
Right.
So we do that every day for clients, and so it's a very easy speak in the book. Very
good. Very good. So this, where can people find the book right now, and what type of opportunity would you suggest that if they do seek it out, what are the details on it?
Well, the best place to go is the book has a website called financialplanningrightssideup.com. There's 3 links to Amazon. The book's on sale at a 30% discount before its publication date of December 12th. So you can buy it for $14 today instead of $21 at Amazon. And that's where everybody's been going right now to buy the books. But they'll be on the shelves at Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart after December 12th.
Very good. Are there any more of those physical stores out there? I swear. Well, it's kind of funny. The evolution of, the brick and mortar, and this is a little, not really off topic, but we're talking about, but the economy, the brick and mortar, they're kind of just they're shrinking of that whole concept, but yet now you're looking at and seeing Amazon and maybe some of these others that are going to be, opening some of these warehouses and large distribution centers now instead of just bookstores. They're gonna do everything for them. We cover the history of store closings in the book from 2017. Okay. So then we cover the demographic problem as well and how it's going to affect the markets because the population is aging. So it's ironic that you bring that up. I figured you probably I think we sent you a copy. Did we send you a copy, Joe? Yeah, you did. Yes. Well, yes. The demographic. No, I appreciate that. The store closings are in there. So. Yeah. Very good. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We have one more segment to talk to Jeffrey. He's talking about his book, and if you want more information, stick with us. 1-800-51 If you have any questions for Jeffrey or me, now's the time to get on the phone, 1-800-516-1220, or you can text your questions in, 408-838-9060. This is Joe Kuchera. We'll be back with you to finish up in just a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. On the line, we have our guest that's called in today, Mr. Jeffrey Small. He's the president of Arbor Financial, and just about releasing a book, Turning Financial Planning Up, or I should say right side up. And we have him on the line just for another 7 or 8 minutes. So if you're out there and you're listening, if you have any questions for Jeffrey, one way or another about the markets, financial services, planning, whatever, he's the expert, 1-800-516-1220. If you have any questions for Jeffrey, I do have a text here. I'll read Jeff in just a couple minutes. Jeff, coming back to this, one of the things all of us are very aware of is consumers have more and more information at their fingertips. It's just the way it is. I'm in the real estate and lending business, and every single industry is being, whether you call it disrupted or under attack. I think it's all positive because, this happens. Life happens, and the evolution of technology, things happen, and if you're not on the front edge of it and really trying to educate yourself on it, then, you could be left behind. So in your industry, the financial services, how has technology changed other than people more informed, more people out there, more options out there? Talk a little bit about that, and then also the next stuff we're hearing a little about it. What do they call it? The robo-advisor, with the artificial intelligence or machine learning. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, robo-advisors are based on just having a computerized relationship with your money, and they're using statistics and different modern portfolio theories to lower your potential risk and increase your rate of return. But generally, they're risk-based approaches. They don't really time the market, so to speak, and I don't really see them competing. Where we see the growth in the robo-advising is the millennials don't really have a strong degree of trust for the financial services industry, and so they gravitate more towards doing things on their own. And so if you go it solo, you end up with lack of information, and because mistrust leads to lack of information, which leads to mistakes. Right. So you have to work with a trusted professional. It's kind of like doing brain surgery on yourself. You obviously go to a doctor for that, and it's the same thing with anything else. You've got to seek out the right real estate attorney, the right tax professional, the right financial professional, et cetera, et cetera.
Is it your opinion then that value, just continually adding value to the customers, and those will always be there and always be successful? I guess my saying is with every industry, with all the competition, with all the, the compliance regulation, and then, the fee structures, all those kinds of things. Is it your opinion or thought that as long as you continue adding value to your customer base, that you'll probably be in good shape?
Well, there's no doubt that's true of not just my industry, but every industry. If you can maintain a good customer relationship and you're providing value to them, then that value will never be usurped by a computer. Right.
Yeah. What would you say to the person, again, out there that is some of the millennials, because, it's the biggest up-and-coming group, and you're right about the nature of them and some of the ways they navigate. Other than just going it alone, they're going to have to kind of experience that and learn that for themselves. But I guess the bigger part is the number we hear all the time, Jeff, is staggering to me, and I don't know what it is lately. You know better than me, but is it roughly 10%, maybe 10% of people are prepared for retirement or something like that? I know the number is pretty low. When it comes to why is it, do you think, that still after all these years of education and information, and especially now consumers are very aware, we've lived through generations of some hardships and some things, people have such a hard time being committed and disciplined to saving and investing?
Well, some of that's part economic, some of that's part demographic, but the baby boomers really were the saving generation. They were given all kinds of incentives to save. Their standard of living was much less. The millennials have to pay back their college loans before they can really start putting money in a 401k. So, we've created this environment where the up-and-coming workers really don't have the ability to save if they had to fund their own education because they're stuck in debt. And so that that's a problem for the ones that can find work, because not all of them can find work. That's another problem.
Right. Yeah, that's another problem. So a lot of them are coming into the workforce already laden with debt. They got to figure out how they're going to get rid of that. For sure.
They've got to pay that debt off, and unfortunately, college is a business, and you've got 20 years to pay it off, so they string it out forever. It's like a mortgage payment. Yeah.
Do you practice in a general specific geographical area, Jeff, or how do you operate your business currently right now, other than the books that you're writing?
Well, we're a national firm. We can work in every state in the country. We're based out of Florida, and most of my clients are in Florida, but about a third of our clients are in other states. And so we do work with folks in California and Washington and Oregon, so we are on the West Coast. So we have clients out there, but we have a national presence, to answer your question.
Okay, so if someone was interested in contacting you to find out more about your services or what you do and what your firm does, where we have about a minute to go here. Where might they contact you for that? And if you can, give us another reminder of where they could get the book before we duck out today.
Sure. They definitely want to go to the book's website, It's called financialplanningrightsideUp.com. They can contact me through the book's website, or they can go directly to my website at Arbor, ARBOR-financial.com.
Very good. All right. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time. Jeffrey, I want to thank you for your time. Again, the book is Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. It'll be available on Amazon. It's available on Amazon right now, right, at a discount, right?
It is at a 30% discount, Joe.
All right. Thanks again, Jeff. Nice having you. Have a great afternoon and evening. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for checking in today. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Take care and have a great afternoon.
Listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Tune in, log in, download our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com. RERadiolive.com.